We receive probably on average, I would say 70 demos a day in my personal inbox, and then probably hundreds to, assistants and interns and stuff. So a lot of demos. For us, I really do try to listen even to just 10, 20, 30 seconds of everything, because you never know when that fresh sonic is gonna, hit your ear, or, a voice that you haven't really heard.
So sometimes we'll sign records that we think are a hit, but they'll Shazam a lot, they'll get radio, but they won't stream because they're too, let's say, controversial, to stream well within the Spotify's skip rate and the algorithm.
The good thing is about the internet, it's very transparent, so you can see automatically what is working or what is not.
We're just trying to find ways to navigate the Spotify landscape, which is challenging. But it's been an incredibly positive effect on the industry. Obviously, the revenue generally that's coming back into the recorded music industry now is fantastic.
At the end of the day, as an A&R, our job is to sign music that we believe in and love.
Yeah, we're 100% risk takers, yeah. There's a record we've recently signed by Toyboy and Robin. I heard the record and I felt that it was perfect for sync usage. So I suppose there's a little bit of kind of crossover there with what you're saying. Probably won't be a big club record for us, but my vision is that record will hopefully get placed into a movie, which will be discovered by millions of people and then go on to perform really well on the streaming platforms.
First and foremost, it's all about good music. And then it's about reaching your target group, reaching the fan base and marketing and promotion. And through the 10 years, that really changed. First from retail shops, radio, TV, and now it's very much online. Especially with Spotify, where radio is still very important.
I'm a big believer still in the album, but the timing of when we release albums definitely has changed. You're not sending an artist into the studio for 2 years to record an album and then coming up with a plan to release it. What a lot of people are doing, they are releasing single by single by single over the course of, 6 months, a year, leading up to an ultimate album. And we've seen lots of artists do this, from Calvin Harris to Kygo, Chainsmokers. And what's great about this is that by the time an artist gets to the album's sometimes already certified as gold or platinum because of those single streams. So I think just the timing has changed, but for me, the album definitely is a time stamp for that artist and still really important.
We are really very focused on singles, and albums are, really, we're not, it's good to have it there as some sort of branding statement for the artist, but even like Kygo, we did 6 singles before the album, Aoki, multiple singles before the album. And when you can generate 2 billion streams before the album comes out, that's much the way to go. And definitely, once the album is out, it's much harder to start a single from an album that's already out. So you've got to really, and also it's just about people's attention span these days. With all the social media and other distractions electronically that they have, to give the time to listen to a full album, it takes the weight of a Drake or a really significant artist weekend to really get those kind of moments. So we really wait for the albums until there's a real strong story for the artist and just enjoy every minute of the singles.
I think how long do the fans stay with them as album artists? I think if you look at a lot of Renaat's artists, a lot of the artists that K7 have worked with over the years, through the albums you're growing sort of a 10, 15 year cycle. The first album you're probably going to lose money. At the second album you might break even. The third album you might make some money, but the fan will grow with the album, whereas a lot of the stuff we've released on House over the years and have launched sort of Bicep, Dusky, Midland, George Fitzgerald, that you're buying a single that is great for sort of 6 months, that it reaches a huge amount of people, but it's the fans aren't necessarily staying with the album artist, with the single artist for the same reasons. So you can cultivate an album artist in a much different way.
I don't think many artists are capable to do an album fully. 90% of our albums are a waste of time. No, seriously, this is how I feel. It's just my opinion.
But why is that? Why?
Because it's a drag, to put something. I'm not talking about songwriters or Prince or in those days, but in dance music, it's a drag. I mean, how can you? Have you ever listened to an electronic dance album? Did you try? No, you're lying.
I was going to quote a few then.
There's only a few that can pull it off.
And make it a journey.
And make it, yeah, but a real journey, yes. You would have an electronic album like in the 60s or whatever, like a Klaus Schulze or Vangelis. I mean, they were really full bodies of work. But anyway, it's 21st century, we're not gonna, put the lights out and walk with candles again, It's, we live in a different world. People consume different.
Music production now is generally a lot easier than it was. Just because you can make 12 tracks doesn't necessarily mean that you should be putting it out as an album. Doesn't mean that anybody's going to want to listen to it.
With radio, you reach the big audience, so that's still very much important. The only thing is, it's very limited what you can get on the radio, on the playlist. So that's every week, every day a challenge. The good thing is now with internet, with Spotify, and you can build your own fan base, and it's worldwide.
You can have success and platinum records without the radio. For us, radio is a perfect storm. It's when, the streaming is totally on point, and the artist is also willing to put in the time to go work the record to radio. Because like I said, America's a very large country, and it costs money to go and do that radio promo. So you can have success without it. Obviously, with radio in the States, it's just bringing that record to a critical mass. But it's all about the timing and making sure the project is ready for it.
Look at Niels Fromm. He built his fan base, going to America, going to Europe, playing private concert, in families, piano, and this is how he built. And for me, you have Niels Fromm, Nicolas Jarre, and the rest is all floating around it. Those two are exceptional artists. It's unbelievable, but artists with a real A. They built their music, and they still, Niels sold a lot of records with the Says album, or what was it? So for me, it's all about, for me personal, do I believe this guy on stage? Can he transcend? Do I believe him? I don't want to hear anything on the radio because it's hyped, and a couple of people, the playlist people, are deciding we're going to play this, maybe blah, 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 all this. Complicated politically, I know you. So, but this is my cocoon on stage. Come on, convince me, really.
And that's the great thing about dance.
And that's what Pink Floyd did. This is what Genesis did. This is what Jimi Hendrix did. This is Cliff Richard. No, he was pleasing, But all those old guys, there were no compromises. Pink Floyd was not even played on the radio. You were not even born, but
For me, I have to love it. In order to sign it, I'm not thinking about whether... It depends on the size of the artist and the project that's coming to you, because you are signing some things knowing that you're probably going to lose money on it, it's probably not going to do well, but it's important for you as a label to keep releasing music that you believe in, that you think is great. Whereas other things come to you at a different level that already have a fan base that you can hear will reach more people for various reasons. So you're signing things on different levels, but I think the music has to touch you first and foremost in order to want to sign it, never mind anything else.
And
I think there is something else. I release music I don't understand.
Yeah, but that's touched you in a way. It's confused you.
Confused me.
Exactly.
So because we're all, we want to please, and it has to be this and that, but sometimes I listen to something and I have no idea where it's coming from, so it must be great. The bands which were successful, original. I'm not talking about the copycats, the Xerox machine, enough. Still waiting. Skrillex was a very good example. Niels, I think Nicolas Jarre is on a good way. When I saw the last concert, there was 3 hours. The first hours was totally improvisation. And it was the first time I looked to a guy, young guy, that was in New York. It was in Belgium, but in my mind I was in New York in a dark club, and I saw the new Miles Davis. It went that far. It was jazz, it was whatever. The guy went so far. And we need more of that. And don't tell me that the kids are not ready.
Be new, original, fresh, both as an artist and both in your music.
Bring something different to the table that we haven't heard before. Instead of competing with 10,000 records, making the record that sounds just like the other 10,000 we've already heard.
For me, it would actually be learn to play an instrument, because a lot of people that in electronic music can't do that, and I think that expands hugely what they're capable of doing.
For me, this is a contradiction.
Well, I think
This is what I hear. I hear the same records coming out, and everybody wants something else, but it doesn't come.
you can only release what you get.
Strange.
I think from my side, make sure your record's finished to a level you're happy with, and ask people's advice before you send it to a label. Make sure you're 100% happy with your final product.
Obviously, try to create something that's truly never been done or heard, and do it differently. And once you find that sound, stay committed to it, and be committed, and make sure that you're creating this project around that aesthetic of what that sound is, and become an entity.
I totally disagree that somebody should learn an instrument in order to do electronica. You know, Klaus Schulze is not a composer. You know, he's a nerd. But something new, does it exist? Everything is done. It's impossible to find something new. Unless
Yeah,
we
but-
play country and western on
I think
whatever, on tires.
technology
I think because of the technology nowadays, there's more producers and musicians than ever before, because it's it's not expensive anymore to have a laptop and produce music on your laptop. So I think
No, that was 20
it's
years
very,
ago, the same
no,
thing.
but
We
I
had
think
an
it's very
Atari,
good.
now it's the same thing.
And there's also young kids who are very successful now in the music industry. They make music at home. You know, they don't go to a music school anymore. So it's very boundaryless,
And
boundaryless. To
I
make
think
music,
where-
produce
which-
music, and share it. You know, you can sing at home. You don't need a big studio anymore. So I think it's different than what you say. There's
No, it's not
more.
different.
There's more people who can develop their musical talent than ever before.
I'm going to get some mud and a wrestling ring and maybe some uniforms, and we can carry on outside. We'll just wrestle this one out. I mean, I think all of you have the challenge now, which is you've got to sift the shit to find the hit, and there's so much of it to get through now.
You know what it's all about? Believe in yourself. So if they're not believing in you, believe in yourself, self-publish it, push it out, send it to DJs, send it to radio, send it to your Spotify editors. That's what you have to do, and you have all the tools at your disposal now. I mean, it was so hard at the beginning of the business for people to get self-started, and now it is so easy. So you don't have to wait for anyone. You just can get started putting it up on YouTube and doing everything you need to do.